July 16th, 10 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. Roll call. Smiley.
Here.
Hannah.
Here.
Okay, we've got a quorum. So we'll move on. And I'm going to move right on down there to number 4. Public hearing for the purpose of providing information, including an analysis of potential positive or negative impacts and answering questions regarding the proposed Alva Arena Economic Development Project plan. You're up, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Saban. I work for the Center for Economic Development Law. The Alva Arena Authority has hired us to help them create a TIF project plan under the Oklahoma Local Development Act to help pay for some of the costs of the proposed arena project on the wetland inside town. I handed out a brief presentation, so if you guys just want to follow along, and if you have any questions throughout the process, feel free to stop me.
Okay.
So, for those of you who don't know what TIF is, it stands for Tax Increment Financing, and basically, when you establish a TIF district, the valuation within that district is certified as the district's base assessed value. Anytime there's an increase in assessed valuation within that TIF district, the taxes collected on that increased value are apportioned to a specific apportionment fund to be used towards certain project costs that are outlined in an economic development project plan. You can see that generally how it works here. The existing tax base, the taxes on that existing tax base will continue to flow to normal taxing jurisdictions, and the incremental taxes are captured or generated by projects in the TIF. And are actually used for the TIF project costs. Once all the project costs, once the project costs have been paid off and or 25 fiscal years have passed, the TIF district will expire and the new total assessed value is just, the revenue will fall on that from the normal taxing jurisdiction based on the regular ad valorem collection process. So in a project plan, there are 2 geographic areas to be aware of. The first is the increment district, and this is the area where the valuation is calculated and the increment is actually collected and generated from. And then there's the project area, which can be coextensive with the increment district or it can be larger. And that's the area where you can spend the money collected within the increment district. This example, the photo here is from the downtown Oklahoma City TIF 2. You can see the area shaded in blue is the TIF district. The area outlined in red is the project area where they can spend funds, just to illustrate that you can have a larger project area. So a little bit about the arena project, and Sonia can fill in some additional details on this. The arena project is proposed on the western side of town. If you turn to the next sheet, you can see the location in darker orange. I'm sorry.
Eastern
Western side of town, sorry.
Eastern side.
Yes. Eastern, yes, sorry. But generally it's going to be a large, multiple exhibit hall or arena facility that can host a wide variety of events. The centerpiece will be an 85,000 square foot arena and a 31,000 square foot exhibit hall. There'll also be an additional exposition or livestock building. An additional smaller arena, small barn and connector with seating for approximately 4,500 people, including permanent and temporary arrangements. So as part of the Local Development Act requires you to put in certain elements in the project plan. The primary thing that it requires you to do is set a project budget for how much increment you can actually collect and spend on certain categories. So what's being proposed is a joint increment district between the city and the county because a portion of the proposed increment district falls outside of the city limits. And if you guys remember, I think it was in November or October last year, you agreed to an MOU with the city on how to create a joint project plan. Basically, a review committee was set up that included representatives from the community at large and every taxing jurisdiction. It was co-chaired by the mayor of Alva and your commissioners. They met 3 times to review the proposed project and the analysis that went into it. And ultimately, they recommended approval of a project plan that has a $12 million budget with $1.5 million to go towards public improvements and infrastructure, $10 million to go towards assistance and development financing, and that would include contribution towards the arena's construction costs, and then a $500,000 contingency. You can see the proposed increment district outlined in yellow on the eastern side of town. And then the next map will show the proposed project area where funds are supposed to be spent, and then you'll notice that includes a portion of the town on the southwestern side. And I believe that's the old fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds proper.
So the proposed increment district, in addition to being an ad valorem increment district, it also was proposed to be a sales tax increment district, and this is not going to affect the county sales tax. It is only going to include the city's sales tax. But I wanted to talk about it briefly because it's going to be a key component of the amount of increment that will be generated. Primarily because it's going to be calculated on an economic impact basis as opposed to a point of sale basis. And that means that instead of taking additional sales taxes that are collected from within the increment district, you'll be taking the new economic activity generated by the new events to be held at the arena and then calculating what the economic impact of that activity is in the city of Alva as a whole. And the city will come up with a formula to determine how much of that increased activity is due to events at the arena, and they'll apportion that portion of their sales taxes into their apportionment fund. And there are various ways that the arena authority can keep track of information to make sure that they get the total number of visitors, and they can split that based on the zip code of people who order online or online ticket sales, determine how many people were from out of town versus how many people were local attending events. And then based on that distinction, apply a very modest assumed per diem amount of money that people will spend when they attend these events. So you'll come up with a total amount of sales subject to sales tax based on that rough calculation. And then you multiply that by the city's increment formula, which is anticipated to be half of their 2% of the city's sales tax.
We need to make it real clear, I think, for the people that are here, whether it's not, neither one of these, whether it be ad valorem or sales tax, are an increase.
Correct. TIF districts do not increase sales taxes. All it does is collect sales taxes or ad valorem increments on the increased value. So if you don't have a project happen, you're likely not going to get that increased value. So you're pretty much capturing value. You're basically borrowing against future growth.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted the public to be aware.
Right. And in addition to it not creating new taxes, it also doesn't affect sinking funds because the increment value is statutorily and constitutionally disallowed from being considered in determining what the sinking funds are for different jurisdictions. And it also doesn't account against the school district under state aid calculation sheets.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. If you have any other questions, please jump in. The Constitution, the Oklahoma Constitution and the Local Development Act do provide for a portion of increment funds to be distributed to the different taxing jurisdictions. And when the review committee met, one of their recommendations was that 20% of the generated increment actually not be apportioned to pay project costs, but to be allocated to the different taxing jurisdictions. So the project plan provides for that, and provides for that 20% to be allocated to the different ad valorem taxing jurisdictions based on their operational millage rate. So that won't include sinking funds because sinking funds aren't affected by the increased value, and the rates and all that just goes towards bonded indebtedness. So we don't want to mess up with that formula. So it'll be just based on your constitutional levies, pretty much.
Okay, just for my curiosity on that, the 20% though is strictly is going back to the school district.
20% is going to be distributed to all the ad valorem taxing
Oh,
jurisdictions,
okay.
including
So it will
the
come
school
back to the county and the health department.
Correct.
Which
Based
is,
based on whatever your proportional limit
Yes,
is. So as those fluctuate over time,
Okay,
that allocation will change.
yeah.
So our budget was based on a financial analysis and set of projections that we did based on, basically, we anticipate approximately $30 million in private development to be able to be stimulated. That's primarily two new hotels, a $20 million limited service hotel and a $7.5 million chain motel. And we anticipate those could be, those will come on the tax roll within the first 5 to 6 years after the arena has been created. And the impacts of that new development will lead to a stabilized 1% annual property value growth within the improvement district and some additional ancillary developments surrounding the arena, such as a restaurant, things like that. It also includes on the sales tax projection side, a little under 170 event days per year and about 400,000 attendees per year at arena events. And the per diem assumptions are based on $40 per diem for local people who are attending these events and $100 for people who are visitors. And that's actually lower than federally allowed per diem rates under the tax laws. 52% of the attendees we anticipate being local and about 48% being hometown. We project about, sorry about the two dollar signs, $3,500 per year in the near term from ad valorem increment and up to $350,000 a year over the long term. Long term would be about 20 plus years into the increment district's life. Sales tax increment, about $148,000 per year in the near term and up to about $240,000 a year for the long term. Increment districts and project areas under a project plan have to meet one of 3 criteria to be eligible under the Local Development Act. It has to either be within an enterprise, a state designated enterprise zone, a state designated historic preservation area, or a reinvestment area. And reinvestment area has a very specific definition under state law. Basically, here, the entire area is within a state designated enterprise zone, so it meets the definition of enterprise area in the act. So that's how the area is eligible. Financial impacts, and I believe you all were given a copy of the financial impact report in addition to the project plan. Basically, this tries to account for growth in and outside of the improvement district as a result of the project's completion. It also accounts for any immediate benefit from spin-off development outside of the improvement district. Basically, it shows that Alva Public Schools, Northwest Tech, and Woods County all experience a financial gain based on the development activity and associated property value growth. And the Health Department and Northwest Tech could potentially experience additional benefits due to increased exposure to existing facilities and some job training opportunities. Overall economic impacts on the business activity in the community. So development is going to create a growth in business activities just due to the number of jobs created to complete the construction of the arena and the ongoing effects from the additional visitors to the area. So we anticipate about 750 temporary construction jobs with about $26 million in payroll during the arena's construction. That does not include permanent jobs in commercial, mixed-use, or industrial developments that might spring out alongside the arena. And that due to the extra people coming to work and visit in the area, there'll be more demand for development and more business opportunities because there'll be more customers involved. Any questions thus far? I feel like I'm going pretty fast.
The tax increment district will only last 25 years.
Yeah, statutorily, that's the maximum that it
Right.
So
Or until,
yeah, once that project cost budget has all been paid off,
And
it's required to
all
turn
paid,
here.
right.
So it could be 10 years,
It could be 10 years, it could be
just
15
whenever it
years.
gets paid off, or 25 years, whichever.
There is one interesting aspect to this, and you'll see that when you, at the next public hearing, you see the resolution that would consider approving it. We're recommending that the county and the city not create the income district immediately. The Local Development Act allows for that creation date to be deferred up to 10 years. And the goal on that would be to make sure that you enact it right before the arena goes on the tax roll, so you can have more income available to pay off project costs. That way, if the projections are on the high end, you have a little bit longer to be able to pay off the costs, and it just allows for more development costs to be paid over the long term. So, kind of went over the previous steps. Last fall, the city and county adopted resolutions of intent and an MOU on the joint creation of this project plan. The review committee met 3 times to go over the project plan and all of its elements and the financial impacts, and they recommended that the county commissioners and the city council approve the project plan with that 20%, 80% split allocation to taxing jurisdictions. And then the City of Alva Planning Commission reviewed the project plan on June 25th, and they recommended approval as well. The next steps, county commissioners and city council are supposed to hold 2 public hearings. The first one is today, and that is to provide information about the project plan and answer any questions that you guys might have. And the second public hearing, which is scheduled for August 20th, is basically to provide an opportunity for people to speak for ordinance before you actually make a decision. After the public hearings, the county commissioners will consider a resolution, and the city council will consider an ordinance approving the project plan and creating the joint tax district. The resolution and ordinance will adopt and approve the project plan, will ratify prior actions of the review committee and the City of Alva Planning Commission, and making their specific findings required by the Local Development Act. It will establish TIF1 while deferring the date for its creation to a future date. It will make certain findings required by the Local Development Act that the Planning Commission and Review Committee aren't required to make. And it will authorize persons and entities, namely the Alva Arena Authority, to be the entity that's actually going to make sure the project planning is administered. A key consideration is that the TIF district in this project plan is not a complete solution for doing this funding. The estimated costs, and Sonia, you can fill this in if it's changed since then, are estimated to be about $15 to $20 million. TIF provides the financing capacity only for around $6 million. Other sources of financing or revenue that have either been pledged or committed to the project includes some public revenues from the city's tourism tax, and the county, I believe, has pledged $150,000 a year roughly from additional revenues. There's also been significant private funding pledges from various charitable foundations and private trusts, and that's actually going to provide the bulk of the costs. So really what this project plan is attempting to do is to cover a financing gap to get the project constructed. It won't be enough to account for continuing operation costs. Our operating performance show operating cash flow deficits of about $250,000 plus per year. So some additional work on an annual basis is going to be needed to be able to make sure that the arena project actually can continue to be financially viable on a year-in-year-out basis. And Todd, I believe, has had some conversations leading that effort. Like I said, TIF is only part of the solution, and it's really only focused on making sure the arena can be constructed. Because if the arena doesn't be constructed, none of these other economic impacts are likely to have. So that's my presentation. If you guys have any questions or specific questions about the project plan, or the financial impacts, or any of the other analysis that's been done, any questions?
Do you have any idea at all how much you're going to be generating and just to cover the $250,000 a year operating costs? Are we going to be getting another city sales tax increase to cover costs of this arena when everything fails?
The additional funding for
I know the city likes to think it's going to grow. There isn't much here to offer for growth. No amenities to speak of. And I don't see how this can generate enough to self-fund itself over time.
Our sales tax projections, which are based on about $45,000, 4,500 people, 45,000 visitors per year, shows a, just in undedicated sales taxes, which is the city's 2%, not the city's full tax rate, not the taxes that are dedicated to specific funds for police or fire, things like that, is starts at about $348,000 a year. It starts at about $300,000 a year and goes up to about $343,000 a year. And once the TIF district has paid itself off, a portion of that revenue could be applied to this, but I don't think that the conversations on ongoing operational funding has been fleshed out yet, which is one of the reasons why we were recommending deferring data creation until additional details have been worked out. The TIF district is really only designed to cover some of the construction costs for the area.
What kind of activities do you expect to draw with this?
So about 170 event days per year, and that can run the gamut from rodeo, roping, cutting type events, trade shows, concerts, dog shows, monster truck rallies, motocross events, sports tournaments, drive-ins, a wide variety of events. And the arena will be, it's a multi-purpose facility. So the arenas will be able to be tailored to specific kinds of events.
Seems like it's going to be like this little burnout strip or whatever it is that you did here on Barn Street for the car show, I imagine. Is that what that section of the street was repaved? Flooded the basement of the hotel. All well planned and quickly executed.
Definitely additional discussions that need to be had to figure out how to handle the operating costs.
The insurance liability upon the city for some of these events. This burnout thing for the car show, when a car breaks loose and mows down 15 or 20 people some years from now.
I think that's a totally different subject than this. That's the city's,
City.
I guess
I mean, the county's gonna incur some liabilities also from this arena, depending what kind of events are put on. Is the county gonna have to over-insure itself as a haphazard
it's not the
chance?
The arena authority, I think, will be insuring the property, and for specific kinds of events, I can guarantee you that they'll be, in their operating expenses, they've budgeted for insurance costs. So that operating deficit includes their estimate for insurance costs. And particular events, I'm sure will be required to have additional
Some
insurance requirements for
official,
their
yeah.
entities.
Just so I can grasp this about when this starts, do you think it should start, the TIF deal, at the beginning of construction or at completion of construction?
My recommendation, since construction will probably take 18 months to 2 years, and during that period of time, as long as it's under public ownership, it won't be on tax rolls. So in order to maximize the amount of time you have to collect increment, we recommend establishing the creation of the increment district basically right before construction completion, right before it enters tax rolls.
Okay. Well, what part of it is going to go on the tax roll? I'm
It's tax-
confused about that.
If it's tax exempt,
Huh?
Just the additional development within the area.
Around, okay, but,
None of this project will, because it's a tax.
okay, well, here's my question, and it's just that if you're gonna miss out on the sales tax part of it from the outside people that come in, that work here
Construction.
during construction.
Yeah, because I believe, Jeff, you explained for sure, but the sales tax portion of it can only happen after events begin happening at the arena.
Based on the current formula that we proposed, it's based on event attendees, and that won't happen until after the event.
Okay. Okay,
And I think the statement, when they go into the tax rolls, really could be eliminated just when the project is completed or when the construction is completed.
And the city has the ability to set their sales tax increment formula, so if they wanted to include the construction sales tax, they could.
okay. Well, that was just, it seemed like a spot that might be being missed, is what I was getting at.
From a personal experience, being able to keep track of the construction sales tax requires putting a contractual obligation on the construction entities. And it's hard to get them to submit their required report to keep track of it.
But that essentially, the sales tax is the only tax that would essentially come into play even at completion,
Yes.
outside of any other new, something being built around
Right,
it.
and one potential area where it might make sense to create the income district before construction is completed is if a large development that
I was
was
fixing to build
is
something.
fixing to build, because if they see the construction, they're like, oh, we want to get it on the ground floor.
Okay.
So, yeah, it would be a decision to be made as ancillary development is going
Okay.
on.
I'm good. Any other questions? You gentlemen?
Anybody else?
Renetta, David?
No, we need to remind them that it is online, all this stuff.
Okay. Yes. Anything before the next public hearing, August 20th, at alvaok.org.
It's been on there since the first notice.
Okay.
So,
I do have some questions, but it's not anything that anybody in here would be concerned with, and just how we would go about doing it.
Okay, if that concludes item number 4, let's move on to number 5, and that's the announcement of the August 20th, 2018 public hearing, or as the date of the second public hearing for the purpose of giving members of the public an opportunity to be heard prior to any vote on the proposed Alva Arena Economic Development Project plan. And that
Can you
means,
make that a motion?
no, that's just, it's gonna happen. And so number 6 is a motion to adjourn this public hearing and reconvene commissioner meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second that.
we're done.